I rise today in support of this rule. This rule is essentially to allow the House of Representatives the flexibility it needs to ensure the safety and soundness of our country's economic future. Over the past 4 years, we've seen record debt and deficits, which has brought us to the crossroads that we face with the looming August 2nd deadline for raising the debt ceiling. Americans continue to speak out loudly and clear, and just as they did last November, they are saying it is time to stop the out-of-control spending, wasteful Washington spending, and excessive government. Republicans have cut spending at every opportunity this Congress, and we are hoping to do that again today. Discretionary and mandatory spending at federal levels are on unsustainable paths. In the last 2 years of Democrat control, Congress has approved and the President has signed into law an 84% increase in non-defense discretionary spending, and the President's budgetary processes of which he proposes to freeze discretionary spending at these inflationary levels is unprecedented. America can no longer support or afford this kind of leadership. The President's proposed 4-year 2012 budget also doubles, then triples the federal deficit over the next 10 years. And while increasing taxes on the nation's job creators by $1.6 trillion sounds like a good deal to the President, in fact, the free enterprise system employers and American workers know otherwise. Additionally, the President's budget makes no substantial effort to address the unsustainable rate of entitlement spending, one of the major aims of the President's own fiscal commission, which he has ignored. Obviously, the President has no intention of cutting spending or reining in big government programs. Big government, more taxes, more regulations are directly in the President's strike zone, and that is the process he intends to challenge Congress to come right on with him and keep marching towards the cliff. Madam Speaker, we're at the end of the road. We're at the end of the road, and once again today, Republicans are saying we are going to have to make tough choices. That's why we came to Congress, and the majority party will continue to do that today. Over the past 7 months, Republican leadership has been steadfast in their support for cutting spending, getting control of our record deficit and debt. The House passed H.R. 1, a continuing resolution that brought back spending levels to 2008 levels, cutting $100 billion in 1 year. In April, this House passed that would cut $6.2 trillion in government spending over the next decade compared to the President's budget. Just last week, this body passed Cut, Cap, and Balance, which would limit discretionary spending, cap spending to a lower percentage of GDP, and lead to a balanced budget act, so Congress could no longer write checks that they can't cash without passing the debt on by asking foreign governments and others to make up the difference for us. Republicans are willing to pay the balance if the President is willing to cut up the credit card. And that is why we are here also today. Republicans have again and again in the House offered common sense solutions to rein in spending and cut down our debt. And my friends on the other side of the aisle continue to reject every single proposal. So, one might ask, what is their solution? What they have offered this nation to spur economic growth and to put Americans back to work? We would ask. So, let me tell you, by raising taxes. By raising taxes on individuals, on small businesses, and corporations alike. This is no wonder why we see stagnant job growth, GDP that lags behind, and employment that means we cannot meet the needs of this country. Even when the increase in taxes hurts our economic recovery, slows job growth, and places more jobs and uncertainty in the marketplace, our friends the Democrats continue to argue for more spending and more taxation. President Obama has asked Congress for an increase in debt and the debt ceiling, and my Republican colleagues and I refuse to grant that request without a commitment to long-term spending cuts. We reject President Obama's insistence for a blank check to pay the credit card bills that he has run up over the past 2.5 years. President Obama's unwillingness to address the true drivers of our debt assured me and my party that we cannot achieve a true solution to the debt crisis we're facing today unless we're able to make tough decisions. The Budget Control Act we discussed yesterday and what we will discuss today is a step in the right direction. It accomplishes what Republicans and the American people have been asking for since the beginning of this process. It will reduce spending more than we increase the debt limit. It imposes no new taxes on anyone, and it guarantees to Americans that the House and the Senate will vote in the next 6 months on the only permanent solution to our debt crisis. Yes, Madam Speaker, the Republicans are here on the floor again, working on behalf not only of employers and employees, but the middle class of this country, those of us who are concerned about where we are headed. There is nothing in this resolution that should cause anyone to worry about losing Social Security or Medicare. That is not even intended in this process. What is to solve the spending and the debt crisis that we have in this country. I encourage you to yes vote on this rule.